All right, we are going to talk about. Um, so there's a coaching tip, a coaching. Uh, let me start by saying this: being a field lacrosse goalie is ridiculously complicated. Okay, it is. It's ridiculously complicated. And for those of you guys that know me, you've heard me say this, but it is the most complicated goalie position in all of sports. In all of sports. I found a funny handball clip. I'll try to get online, get in the group later this week. Um, but it was because it was hilarious. But but even with handball, I would say a lacrosse goalie, it's more complicated. Um, but that being said, I think out of the complication, some coaches, some well-meaning coaches, I I I just think they haven't thought some things through, and so because lacrosse is complicated, goalies are looking for ways to just be better and to get some sort of an advantage on the shooter, right? So one of the ideas is like, okay, we can bait a shooter, right? And by baiting, we can give them a space to shoot at, and then we can take it away, right? Basically, when you bait, when you become a master baiter, um, joke intended, um, but when you become a master goalie baiter, um, or master shooter baiter. Master shooter baiter? Well, anyway, you get the point. But the idea is that we're trying to hedge our bets. We're trying to say like, okay, I think you're going to shoot it there, and so I'm waiting to, I'm getting ready to go, right? And then if you bite and I get there, then maybe I'll get it better. Maybe I have a better chance of getting it than just trying to react normally. But I think what's happened is that in an effort to do that, some coaches are perpetuating an idea that I've never agreed with, and that's this idea that you should read a shooter's shoulders, that the shoulders give away where the shot goes, and I disagree because a strong athlete can basically fake the shoulders one way and release the stick another. So what do I believe? Like, so what can a goalie trust? One, a goalie can trust the head of a stick, like the angle of the stick. But then what the goalie has to understand is they have to understand the pocket in that stick at least, right? Boys and girls, right? But then what else gives away the shot? Well, the shaft will give away the angle of a shot, right? But even then, like a three quarter release, that ball could go stick side high, like off my right ear, off my left hip, or down low, depending on how that stick goes. But a goalie can trust that. The other thing that a goalie can start to trust is the hands, like the gloves. So if you see gloves coming through and they are like flat to the ground, well, most likely that ball is coming flat to the ground, right? So if that ball if the gloves are coming like this, if the top hand glove is over the bottom hand glove and the hands are coming down, well, that's going to give us a clue that maybe that ball's not going high, right? But again, it depends. It depends on where they are on the field. It depends on how far away they are from the cage. It depends, like all sorts of stuff. But the idea is that what can a shooter fake? Um, and low to high shots, yes, I've said this a lot. Like I totally agree. Who's that? Low to high shots, Sean, I see you. Low to high shots. This is Sean. This is where my argument for equipment on the bottom half of the body gets more and more steam every year, is because with a low to high shot, you have to respect the low release and you have to respect the high release. Well, if I drop my stick down because I think it's coming low, I don't have enough time to get it back up. That's where I believe we've got to leave the stick high. And I think I talked that a little bit a couple weeks ago with the Tim Troutner video I did, where I didn't feel like he went down with a whole lot of confidence down low. Um, I believe that a protected goalie, on their knees down, not just shins. Like I gotta be more vocal on this because there's some goalies wearing shin guards, but it's like no, the knees have to be protected because the knees have to, one, take a shot, but two, they have to be comfortable with dropping, right, and taking a shot, right? Because we've got to leave the stick in a position to be able to go elsewhere. Because if you look at like an ice hockey goalie, like an ice hockey goalie will drop to a butterfly, and like if you watch the Olympics right now, especially the women's game, the the um the goalies drop in a butterfly, and but then they'll get scored on a pie, right? And so, but you'll see goalies will drop without tracking the puck first, right? So I won't get into that too deep, but um, but low to high shots are brutal, right? Um, the as are high to low shots, but I digress. But the thing here is that when we look at this clip, okay, when we look at this video, which I have here, um, all right, oops, remove that, and we're gonna play this forward. Okay, so so I believe that the women, like the advancement in women's athletics, just in terms of strength and conditioning, okay, and the pockets, the pockets, like the girls almost have as much control over the ball with a girl stick as some of the guys do. I swear. Okay, and so, but if you're strong in the upper body and in your hands, you can fake, like you fake your shoulders one way and release the ball. And here's the example of just how that happens. So I can't remember who this is. I'll play this through once. All right. But what's with the undersized defenseman? Let's just talk about that. Okay. All right. So this defender is like 70 pounds lighter than this attackman. He throws the fake here. The defenseman bites. Oops, wait. Oh, he still got it. And now the guy just runs right over him. Okay. Which drives me crazy. But right here, as he comes in, as the goalie's in good position here, and as a righty on the left-hand post, I think a goalie's an advantage. I don't like the left hand. I don't like the vertical stick. But right here, the shoulders of this shooter are like, they're like, his head is going one way, and all of a sudden, real quick, he brings the hands up, and there he goes. But his shoulders, like, I mean, you can nitpick this all you want, but it's almost like his shoulders are pointing like way the hell over here, right? But the idea is his hands get, like, you can move your hands anywhere you want to move them, and the release on this ball is so fast that this goalie doesn't even move really, right? Like, I don't understand. Like like if you were to do the math on this, the movement for the goalie to actually make this save, it's probably about an 8-inch move vertical. It's not much at all. So right here, you start to realize that the stick, the like this happens really fast. The hands come up and boom, done. But I'm not going to teach a goalie to try to read the shoulders of this guy to then, to then all of a sudden bite on that, because this shooter here he could hook it between his legs with the same shoulders, right? It's all about what happens from the stick head to this shaft to the hands and into the elbows, and then, but I've seen this a lot where coaches are like, "Oh yeah, you should read the shooter's like shoulders." Like, no, I just don't. I think what we're doing, if you're teaching a goalie that, is you're getting them wrapped up in something else. And the gist of this here is what a goalie should be thinking is like, okay, he didn't shoot the ball here. He's coming inside. He's got my 5-hole, but his stick's in the right hand, right? He's not even gonna shoot right here right now. Okay, he's got no shot. Right? That's what a goalie should be thinking. But then as he comes down and brings that stick up, like right here, okay, wait, it's still on his backhand, right? And as a goalie, okay, where can he put that ball? Nowhere just yet, like nowhere. But as if he gets the stick around, and your goalie's processing this in an instant. And what's beautiful about this shot is that this kid goes from basically a stick down low on his backhand to up and off, boom, in one move. And the goalie drops his stick head. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. And we see this a lot where goalies, like, all of a sudden, yeah, I just think from a goalie perspective, you've got to know like what options does the shooter have? And these happen, guys, like I get it. They happen instantaneously. And this is really hard. This is really a difficult thing to train, right? But one of the things that I tell my goalies to do is like, okay, if you got scored on last game, let's take let's take the 30% of the goals that got scored on you that were weird, right? I'm not talking shots from like top center or things like that. Like this would be one that we would practice. It's like, okay, I would get my attack and I'd be like, all right, guys, you remember that cool play that number 34 did last weekend? Yeah. Okay, good. We're going to practice that today. It helps your goalie, but it also helps your team because they're going like, yeah, I want to be like that kid. Cool. Right. So, all right, great. I think this is Connolly, right, from Duke. Um, Brennan O'Neill, the goalie or the shooter, Brennan O'Neill. But the idea is like, hey, if we want to be like Brennan O'Neill or whoever, let's practice that. And so when you practice that, then everybody gets better, right? So I swear I'm going to put this on the back of my t-shirts when we get these things printed. When goalies get better, shooters get better. When shooters get better, offenses get better. When offenses get better, defenses get better. When defenses get better, teams get better. When teams get better, programs get better. When programs get better, regions get better. Okay. And when regions get better, the sport grows. So it all starts with the goalie. Because if you just work on shooters and you don't get your goalies better, and people think like, oh, if we just get better shooters, we'll have better goalies. That's not true. Because when you have better shooters, then your goalies, if they're not up to speed, if they don't know what the hell's going on, they get frustrated and they quit. Right. So if you focus on shooters first, then your goalies are just hanging on by a dear thread. Like you're just hoping they don't quit. Right. So you start with the goalie. So this is something that I suggest to all my kids is right. All right. If you got scored on like on the weekend or whatever, let's pick, 30% of those shots and let's practice those in practice. And it's kind of fun because, you can have your team like look up like a cool like Instagram post or whatever like this and go, yeah, I want to do that. And so, all right, we're going to dodge the defender. We're going to put the stick in the right hand. We're going to try to get it back real quick and go top shelf far corner. And your goalie's going to now start to be able to read that. Because I can guarantee you here, like, for this type of play, this is a rare play. Like this isn't happening all the time, but this is beautifully done. Okay, this is beautifully done. But the idea is, the goalie, in my opinion, like misplays this. But I'm not teaching a goalie to follow the shoulders here, right? And that's going to make this work. When the ball comes, when the stick comes here, it's going far side. And so, from a goalie's perspective, I'm going to explode into that space. Like I'm going to explode laterally into that space. Okay. And because the one thing that the attackman here can't do is like if he were to try to fake this shot and then held onto it and tried like he's not faking it here. He doesn't have time. And so the goalie's got to know that hey, this shot's coming off and it's going to go somewhere. And that's where I think from a goalie perspective, and again, I get it. This happens like super quick, but all right, what's going to be the best option here for this goalie? The best option is keeping that stick where it is and going up if that ball goes up, but also I'm moving laterally and maybe I take this off my rib cage or the inside of my right elbow, which would hurt like a what. Okay. But that's where from a goalie perspective, understanding the language of lacrosse, this is like a dialect this goalie probably hasn't seen a lot, right? And doesn't really know what's going to happen there. Hasn't spent the time to figure that out and go like, what, geez, what's possible? And I remember when the Gates came down from Canada and brought the box game into field lacrosse, and they did stuff like I remember Gary Gate or Paul Gate doing uh, like okay, behind the like he's running down the field from the midfield stripe to the top of the restraining box. He's about where the restraining line is. And he gets to the top of the box and he rips. He's lefty, and he goes behind the back from the top of like it's like 25 yards out there, right? And he rings it off the crossbar. Goalie never seen a shot like that before, right? And all of a sudden it's like, what? So I remember when that happened. I remember when like Marichek, was also, they're doing just creative stuff. And now with Instagram, we see a lot more of this creativity, but goalies aren't practicing against that creativity, right? It's just biting them in the ass come game time, right? And that's not, to me, that's not proper training. That's not proper. Um, it's not proper respect of the game, I guess. Learning the sport, learning the dialect. Okay, so I don't want, so for the coaches out there, um, and what I would encourage you to do is have some sort of like 5% of your practice dedicated towards um, curiosity training, creativity, right? It's like, okay, listen, we're gonna work on a play. Like, so I love this. I love telling this story because when I came to Canada, and I'm an American field lacrosse guy in Alberta, where field lacrosse is like still stuck in the dark ages. Um, but I got a chance to coach this program and got gifted some of the best box lacrosse players in Alberta. And we did a drill where I would just have they were all attackmen. So to have attackman cut across the front of the cage, uh, we would feed the ball from like a midi down, like right on the top of the crease, and the player would catch that ball. Like the pass had to come like at their chest. That way they were protected. The stick was in front of them. They could get that pass like right here. The defense couldn't get it all, and their job was to catch that ball and then rifle it between their legs, like underhanded between their legs. And so and the kids were like, yeah, whatever. This is kind of goofy, whatnot. What we did both sides, left-handed, right-handed, whatever. And then sure shit, the Monday after the next weekend, one of the kids came back, one of the junior A kids, and said, "Guess what, coach? I scored in our box game doing that." And I was like, "Hell yeah!" So you either have a trick in your arsenal or you don't. And from a shooter perspective, from a goalie perspective, you've got to practice these things, or else you're going to be you're just your brain goes into like, I'm trying to figure the shooter out on game day, and that's a recipe for disaster. Like we want to basically have it already built into the subconscious. And what I see week after week is I see goalies that even at the Division 1 level who are lacking like major, like not major, this is unique, right? But this is obviously has not been trained, right? And because when you start to break this down and you realize like, okay, there's not a lot of room here. The shooter only has so many options, but this is like taking candy from a baby. And I get it. Brendan Nooney he's a big dude, right? He's a big dude, and this goalie is not a big dude. But where else are you going to shoot the ball? It's like, it's there. It's gonna be there. It's gonna be there, right? And also, if I'm the goalie here, I'm stepping out. I'm coming right at him. I'm taking a hop step forward. I'm increasing my angle, and then this defender. I'm sorry, but 25 here. Can we? I should do. I should start accumulating video of defenses just pissing me off. But what the hell is 25 doing? Look at me go. I run backwards really well. Yeah, this is like the agility drill we didn't. It's like, no, dude, you come straight across. You lead with a freaking poke check. And like, what? You're not like, you got $500 worth of stick to use. Use it. Like, what? What? I'm routinely disappointed by Division 1 defenders and PLL defenders too. So anyway, that's that. All right, guys, thanks for watching and thanks for listening wherever you are. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you like this, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. When you're ready, head on over to lacrossegoalieuniversity.com/coaching so I can work with you and your goalie. And while you're at it, check out athletespecific.com to learn more about mental performance and high performance. You may not know this, but I work with athletes in a variety of sports. Lacrosse is my love, but man, I love athletes and the families who support them. So head on over to athletespecific.com, check it out. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.